If you like what we do and want to see more content from us, check out our Patreon page where we currently have a 7-day free trial available. G'day everyone, Diesel here from Getting Around Oz Camper Trailer Travelling. Thanks for joining us today. Today's video shouldn't be a long one. Essentially what I've got is this iTECH shunt here, this 500 amp one, and basically we love the first one we got. I did do a video on that one where we installed it into the Pajero, but this time it's in a camper trailer, so it is a slightly different application and different setup. Today's video, I'm going to take you through the install, how I've set it up, how you need to set it up, how you plug it in, what goes where, how to set up the monitor as well, because that can be a little bit tricky. You know, the instructions, while they're very good, it can be a little bit to get your head around at start. I know it definitely was for me, but I hope this one's going to help you out here. Let's get into it. Okay, so now with this shunt here, we bought this, I bought this in the Black Friday sale. So it's been 3 months I've been sitting on this one waiting to do this job here, and essentially this is it here. It's a very small box. What you get in here is essentially the monitor. Comes with this bit here. The actual shunt itself is in there, which I'll show you in a sec. This part here, you got the instruction manual. The cable that it comes with to go from the shunt itself to the monitor, it is really long. I'll actually chuck on the screen how long it is because I forgot. There is some mounting screws on here as well. I have used different mounting screws because of sort of where I am and sort of what I want to achieve with this one. But anyway, let me show you what I've done here. Now, just before I lift the lid on this one here, I recommend you having a look at the instruction manual. They explain things really well. Now, a lot of this doesn't make sense straight off the bat, and it definitely didn't for me. However, whether you're choosing to mount the monitor first or choosing to mount the shunt itself first, it doesn't matter, to be honest with you. It's whatever suits you and whatever you feel like having a crack at first. But if it was the monitor, for example, there's pictures here in this one here. It actually tells you the size you've got to cut out, okay? So now mounting the panel, it does actually have little clips on the back of it, so if it's on a flat surface with a hole, you can actually push it through and click and it actually won't come back out. But it does also have screw holes on the 4 corners, which you can see that I've used there. I did push it in nice and firm, did the same with the Pajero. I want to make sure it was a tight fit first, but I wasn't quite comfortable with that, and I definitely wanted screws for a bit of extra security. The screws they give you, one-way screws, are not actually screws with lock nuts, so that's something worth considering. I've gone with lock nuts myself because I just don't want it to bloody go anywhere. Now, the other thing this book does is explain the shunt itself. It does explain how to set up the monitor. I'm going to walk you through that step by step. But the shunt itself, now this was the one that took me a bit of time to get my head around. It seems to be the one that definitely confuses most of us. Now, you got B- and P- on here. For me, the best way that it made sense to me was think of the B- as that's the side that's got to go to the battery. Now, with the shunt here, it's all the negative connections, okay? You're not connecting any positive to this shunt. All your positive stuff is power that's going to all your devices and your batteries, but for here, it's all the negative stuff. The only positive that you're going to have is the sense wire that's coming out of here, and I'm going to show you that one in a sec. That goes to the battery, which gives the shunt the power. All the negative wiring is what's going to give you all the readings to your shunt. Now, I realise in hindsight, showing you how I fixed this thing might have been helpful for you, but hey, that's sort of just the situation I've got. Now, essentially, fixing this thing, you can either do it flat on this side or the way that I've done it. So there's screw holes here, here and here if you want to mount it upright. For me, I've gone this way because I like the bolts to be flat. You can see there's a screw just under there, and there's one just under the buzz bar here. I fixed that one in with lock nuts as well because I don't want it to go anywhere. So again, B-, as you can see there, that's the side for the battery. So that one's going from the battery up into the negative terminal there. These 4 here are the 4 devices I'm using. Now, this buzz bar doesn't come with it. I'll chuck in the description of the video where I got this one. It's from a guy that sort of runs a shop in Melbourne called B&L Custom Electrical Parts, I think it is. Now, this one here, I'm using a buzz bar because I have some big terminals here. So I've got the 70mm cable coming from the inverter here. This cable here is a 35mm cable coming in. Now, the bus bar, I would only recommend if you're using big connections like this or lots of them. If you were probably running 1 or 2 or even 1, 2 or 3 with smaller connections, going straight on there would be fine. It's a personal preference thing. In the day, if you can fit them all on there, you know, you're likely not going to have a problem. But for me, I just like to have it all separate in case I need to pull something apart. It's just a lot easier. As you can see, this side here is P minus, as you can see under there. Now the sense wire to give this power is this one here. So this screws in under there. It actually sort of goes in underneath. There's just a little small flathead screw. You unloosen it, tighten it back up, fits it in there. And that sense wire is coming out here into the battery there. So that's the only plus connection you have. So that one there, it is a fairly long cable. I'll sort of try and work out how long it is myself and chuck it on the screen there for you, but comfortably around 1 meter or so. So it definitely would get you to any sort of spot I reckon you would need to. Now the next connection is this one here. That one just plugs in there nice and easy. This one here is the cable that goes to the monitor. That again, that is a very long cable. I think it was around an 8 meter long cable. So again, that one could really sort of go to most applications, whether you wanted to put the shunt at the back of the car and put the monitor at the front of your car or your caravan, or however you're going to do it. But time for a bit of a tip here, because I actually got caught out with this one the first time I installed this one in the Pajero. These bolts here, they're 10mm, they're big buggers, okay? So this bus bar itself, this one here is all 8mm screws. 8mm and 6mm, you probably find a lot of, probably a lot of things you're looking to plug in into this thing here, sorry, will be 8 or 6mm lugs, but these two here are 10mm. They're big buggers, so make sure you remember that, and maybe get some lug sizes that you're going to need to be able to fit this one here, because I tell you what, it's a bit of a bugger getting into the job and realising none of your gear bloody fits this thing. Okay, so now with these cables here, I've sort of shown you where they go, but this one here runs around the back. Under here, you can see there is all this bloody cable here. That's the monitor cable there. There's an absolute bloody truckload of it. It's a nice big reel, actually sort of nice and easy to tie it up there. I've got to finish it off yet. Plugging in the cable to the monitor there, it's that one there. That's all you need. That's the only thing that plugs into the back of the monitor there. Rightio, so it's time to set up the monitor here now. Everything inside is ready to go. Now the monitor, firstly, before you try and set it up or calibrate it, because that's what you're doing, is you're going to make sure you do two things. Is make sure you're measuring the discharge and the charging current coming in and coming out of the monitor. That way the monitor is sort of picking up the readings as it's supposed to. The other thing is make sure your batteries are fully charged or at 100% sort of state of charge, because that way the monitor can actually pick up the readings in the battery. I'm going to say more clearer, but it'll actually be clear to the monitor what it's supposed to pick up. Otherwise your readings will be a little bit off. Before I show you how I set this thing up, this is how it's mounted. So keep in mind all 4 of those corners there, they're all sort of clicked onto this bracket here, but as I did with the other one, I like to use the 4 screws here to fix it on there. Obviously just cut around there, you got nice easy sort of drill a hole through there, those ones there, and it's fixed on there quite nicely. But anyway, let's get in the setup of this thing. So now we want to enter the menu settings. So we hold this one down for 3 seconds. Okay, so you can see there, got the battery capacity, the high and low voltage there. Now, I want to actually tell this thing how many amp hours of battery I have to make sure it reads, because it's defaulted to 100 because that's one battery there, but I actually want to set it to 200 amp hours here. Okay, so you can see there, you just hit the buttons as you need to. The OK button is the one that goes across. And next up is, see, obviously press that arrow. This one here is the one that goes down, so I actually want to set the high and low voltage cut off of the battery here. Now generally with the high and low voltage capacity here. There is a bit of information here in the booklet, but basically it's not something you need to set up, and it's not something that I set up previously. And obviously you set up the alarm there if it's going to get to a certain point, and we'll tell you if you're basically getting in trouble. But I want to get out of here now, and I'm just going to reset that so you can see it's at 50% there. But I've just told it I've got 200 amp hours of battery power there, so just going to try and reset it here. There we go. So now it's set to 200 amp hours at 100% there. This one here is all ready to go. Another setting that might be of interest to you is, see that little light there? Basically that's the screen brightness. Now you can't see it now because it's the middle of the day, but if you basically 0 is just the screen as it is. However, this one here is the backlight. Turn up as you need to. So 10 at night is actually really quite bright, and probably not a setting most of you would use, but that's all that does, is up and down as you need to. Now, and if you actually want to turn the backlight off, hold that one down and that'll set it to 0. And if you want to actually wake the backlight up, hold again. There you go, back up to 10. But for me it's much easier just to go up and down as you need to, but I guess that's a personal preference thing, isn't it? Quick bit about the readings here. So 100% is telling you how much the battery capacity there is. It's actually 100 amp hours left. Now, if I'm using it a bit, it'll go down to 98, 96, etc., etc. And sort of we'll go down with this one here. You can see, that's just a reading of the amp hours there. That's the current battery voltage. This one here is the amount of wattage that's coming into it. And this one here essentially is the amps either coming in or coming out. So if it's got solar coming in, it'll say +5 or +7 or 9 or whatever it is. But if it's actually drawing power, it'll actually be a negative number there. There you go. This shunt is very easy to set up, to use. I reckon this panel is definitely a big improvement on the old one. I had that one first before we upgraded the one in the back of the Pajero there, but the monitor has everything you need. I can't think of what else you might need. It tells you, how much sort of wattage you're being used, or how much solar wattage is coming in. It's got the amp reading if that's your preference. It's very easy to set up. The battery size that you're using, the battery capacities, it reads very well. The backlight of daytime and nighttime is actually really bloody handy. And bar that you see me put on there, I'll chuck in the descriptions. A guy in Melbourne that supplies this one. It was around I think it was about 60 odd bucks delivered from Melbourne to WA, so it might be a bit less for postage depending on where you are, but he does have a shop in Melbourne there. The buzz bar is not something you need to get, that's for sure. I don't use one in the Pajero because I don't have as many things running off that as I do here, and I don't have the 3000 watt inverter like I do with this one here. So that one's got 70mm lugs, it uses 70mm cable. But if you're using things that have the smaller lugs, or if you got 1, 2 or 3 perhaps, there's nothing wrong with sort of just putting those in the same bolt there and using, they will secure fine is what I'm trying to say. And in the Pajero they definitely do that. But no, look, it's a great little unit here, and I got a second one clearly because I like the first one. Really appreciate you checking out our video today. If you got any questions, please drop them in the comments, and I really would love the chance to answer anything that you've got. I try to cover off as much as I can with this one. Unfortunately, I couldn't cover off the install from start to finish because the job on this one was just too big. We do have a discount for you to use, GAA5. I'll chuck it in the description there, and I'll chuck a link there to help you get to it as well. So that's not just applicable on the shunt. You can use it anything on the You can use it with anything on the website. It doesn't matter if the stuff is on sale. It'll actually be a further 5% off those sale items as well, which is pretty cool. So that's thanks to iTech for that one. But hey, hope that was helpful for you. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like what you've seen today, would love if you checked out some other videos. And unfortunately wasn't able to do the whole install for you. It was a really big job with this one. I just didn't have the time and probably the patience to record the whole thing. But from what I've shown you, you can definitely do it yourself. It is very easy to do, that's for sure. That's about it from me. I'm Diesel for Getting Around Oz, camper trailer traveling. Hooroo.